Good morning, my name is Daniela Alvarado and today I'm presenting the country cultural profile from Switzerland. To make a content overview, we will see, the country overview. That means we will check the differentiation, country description, the history and travel tips. Then we'll talk about the cultural distance theories. First of all, Hofstede, then Trompenaars, and finally Edward T. Then we will continue talking about the communication, collaboration, and how Switzerland is a host for foreign business partners. To start with a country overview, we will see the differentiation country description. Switzerland is a landlocked mountainous and small country that it's located in Central Europe. It's between France, Germany, Austria, and Italy. It's also called Confederatio Helvetica. That's the CH from Switzerland comes from. It's one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and it's a neutral state. Its capital is Bern and has 4 different languages as official languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Its top industries are banking and financial services, but also agriculture. And the currency from Switzerland is Swiss francs. A little bit of history of Switzerland. In 1291, the 3 cantons, Uri, Schwyz, and Unterwalden, the so-called Urkantone, unite to resist outside control. In 1648, they made the Declaration of Independence. That means Switzerland is an independent nation, but between those years, other cantons joined the federation, like, for example, Lucerne and Zurich. Then in 1812, the Swiss Federation declares its neutrality. And finally, in 1815, Switzerland gets its final boundaries after including Valais, Neuchâtel, and Genève in the federation. Some travel tips for Switzerland. As I mentioned, they have 4 different or main languages, official languages for the country, but it's mainly divided in 3 regions for these languages. The first we can talk about is German region. The capital Bern, it's situated there, and also another representative city, it's Zurich. From the French region, we have Genève and Lausanne. And from the Italian region, we have Lugano. Other great things to do in Switzerland include skiing the Matterhorn, or not exclusively the Matterhorn, but other great or amazing mountains, hiking in Interlaken also, and visit the Swiss Riviera. In the photos here, we can see the mountain is the Matterhorn, the city here is Bern, and the castle and the lake, it's the Swiss Riviera in Montreux. And some very good travel tip for Switzerland is that you should get a Swiss travel pass so you can go anywhere. The public transportation is very good, and the distance are not so long, so you can do everything and you can go everywhere with the train. Well, moving on, we have the cultural distances theories. In the Hofstede theory, we can see the comparison between Switzerland and Peru. Peru is going to be the home country. I am Peruvian, so I choose Peru as a home country. And well, here we can observe the main things we can see is a significant distance in all the dimensions. There are no visible closeness. For closeness, we can say that it's 10 points or less. These points are a score that goes from 0 to 100, but in this case, you can see that the difference are very high in every dimension. Then we can say that for uncertainty avoidance and indulgence, we are going in the same direction. Both are going the high tendency scores, so that we can say those are the closest similarities. Then to be more specific, and for power distance, we have a difference of 30. In this case, Peru has being a high score, and Switzerland a low score. Low score means that it's decentralized, inequality should be minimized, the superior is accessible, and the leader is also a coaching. Then for individualism, we have a difference for 52. That's very, very high. That's the highest difference between both of the countries. Peru scored low. That means that Peruvians emphasize the we, the groups, and the loyalty. And the high individualism that Switzerland scored means that they emphasize in the I and a loosely knit social framework. For masculinity, the difference is 28. A low score means that it's like a feminine country, that it's means that it values interaction over recognition or wealth. And Switzerland, when it scored high, it means that it's success oriented and they live to work. They prioritize successful and money over human interaction, as I said. Well, then we have uncertainty avoidance. The difference is 29. And we have there that Peru have high certainty avoidance. We need a lot of rules and a strong legal system, but the obedience is weak, is not always followed. And in Switzerland, we have a high score in avoidant distance. That means that, well, high in absolute, but compared, as you see, it's lower than Peru. And in the other chart, have rigid codes of behavior and security. They don't need the rules be written. They can follow them, the rules, because they know what's right. They know and do what is right, and don't need to be expressed. They know how to behave. Then for long-term orientation, we have a difference of 49. It's also a very high difference. And that means that we are in Peru, it was scored low. It means it is normative. There are respect for traditions. Usually they don't say for the future. In the Switzerland, they score high. That means they are pragmatic. The truth depends on the situation, the context, and time, and they can adapt traditions to change conditions. And finally, we have indulgence, where the difference is 20. And as I said, that was one of the closest scores that they had. For Peru, we have a medium where people usually control their desires and impulses, and Switzerland scored high, what means they try to enjoy life and have fun as much as they can and have leisure time. For Trompenaars, we have 7 dimensions. The first one is on universalism versus particularism. Peru is a particularism country and Switzerland a universalism country. That it means that they have a major importance for the rules. More than relations and circumstances, a difference from Peru. Then in individualism versus communitarism, we have that Peru is a communitarism country, that the group has a major importance, and individualism for Switzerland, the person has freedom and you value their own achievements. In a specific versus diffuse, we have that Peru is a diffuse country where you overlap personal life and work life, but in Switzerland, being in a specific country, they prioritize or separate life, personal life, then work life. In the neutral versus emotional, Peru being an emotional country, you can express yourself anytime, even at work. And Switzerland is a neutral country where the control and reason guides how you behave. Then achievement versus ascription. Peru is a ascription country. You are who you are, and the title of matters, but in Switzerland, being an achievement country, the performance is what matters. Perception of time. For Peru, it's a synchronous country, or multitasking, doing a lot of things at the same time, but Switzerland, it's a sequential country where logical order, punctuality, and do the plans, it's what matters. And finally, for this from Trompenaars theory, we have internal direction and outer direction. The outer direction environment controls them, and they avoid conflict, but internal control of environment to achieve goal. The internal direction for Switzerland makes them control the environment to achieve them goals. Following, we have Edward T. Hall, the perception of time. Peru is a polychronic, where human interactions and doing the stuff, the things in your own time, it's what matters. And monochronic, it's do one thing for Switzerland, it's do one thing at a time, to planning and schedule. The proxemics, that it's the dimension that particularizes Edward T. Hall theory. It's the space, physical space between where you can be around someone. In Peru, you can go closer to personal space, you can touch, you can hug, but in Switzerland, most of the time you only have to respect the social distance and shake hands when it's appropriate. And finally, the high context versus low context communication. Peru, it's a high context communication where there are unwritten rules. They behave because of the social norms that they know. And Switzerland, it's a low context country where you need more explanation of the context. And now going to specifics and how to behave, or how Switzerland does their communication during business. We will see that for preparation of meetings and negotiations, the meeting should be scheduled always. You have an agenda and you should follow it. And also you should be slightly before their meetings, from 5 to 10 minutes. That comes from the monochronic, do one thing at a time, be prepared, from Edward T. Hall. Then next you have to dress appropriately, of course, but no need to show luxury items to show your power or your position. That comes from the low power distance. You don't need to show who you are. You are not who you are for your stuff, for your things, for what you own, because how you present yourself and your achievements. Then the interlocutor could be from any range, from the CEO, from a regular salesperson. That also comes from the low power distance from Hofstede. Then the execution of the meeting should follow this pattern. Then first, introduce yourself with the firm handshake and eye contact. The proxemics from social space that I explained from Edward T. Hall, it's important in this time, but you can do this. You can do handshake and to show them, to say hi, no, to say hello, say salutations. Then explain the facts, show documentation with numbers and statistics, certifications or awards if it's the case. That comes from the low context communication from Edward T. Hall, and high masculinity of Hofstede, where you need to the achievements and the goals are more important, and also you need more information. Then emphasize the quality of the product. Switzerland, it's a quality market. That comes from the high masculinity of Hofstede and the indulgence of Hofstede. Negotiation using the reason and not emotions. That comes from the neutral dimension from Trompenaars. Be present in the meetings and not multitasking, because Swiss people is giving all your attention. So you should be also monochronic in that time. You should show them respect, that you care, that you are present. So do one thing at a time and be present on the meeting. Don't look for emails, don't look your phone, like it's the moment. Then in the negotiation, they will be direct but polite. That comes from masculinity of Hofstede, but also from low power distance from Hofstede. Be prepared for a lot of questions. They need all the information necessary. That comes from as I said, the low context communication from Edward T. Hall, and high ascendancy avoidance from Hofstede. And finally, everyone present in the meeting should contribute, because they expect achievement mindset. Everyone on their team is going to say something important to the meeting. So it comes from high masculinity and high individualism, because also they want to excel by themselves. For a business lunch, dinner, or small talks, you have to be reserved. You don't need to give a lot of details about your personal life, because they separate work from personal life. That comes from a specific neutral dimensions from Trompenaars. There is importance for our politeness and manners to be The social etiquette, it's also a very important aspect that comes from universalism, from Trompenaars. And also, I would say that they might enjoy a glass of wine with the food and select a good restaurant because they have high indulgence in Hofstede's theory. Then for collaboration, when they are making the decisions, they need to take time to make the decision. That comes from the neutral aspect from Trompenaars. The decision is always based on facts and reason. That comes from the high long-term orientation from Hofstede. They might be hard in negotiations, but finally they will be fair in the decisions because they have high masculinity and low power distance. And also with their decentralized decision making, they have low power distance and they probably will hear their opinions from all the team before making a decision. When they comes from relationship building, they trust you for what you do and how you contribute to the partnership. That comes from individualism and Hofstede and achievements from Trompenaars. Personal relationships do not play a role in here. They have no connection for loyalties that come from individualism and specific from Trompenaars. And you have to respect the agreements. That's how you gain the respect, that you follow the plan, that you follow the agreements, the signed papers that you have, the milestones and everything. For uncertainty avoidance, that comes from uncertainty avoidance from Hofstede. Then the relationship should remain very formal. That comes from a specific for Trompenaars. Probably you should always call the person for their last name, say Mr. Thompson or something, not call them by their first name. And other aspects comes, as we can mention, it's leadership. They expected that all employees contribute and excel. That comes from the high masculinity of Hofstede. The boss is accessible leader that coach and let the members teams to be independent. Also low power distance from Hofstede. The motivation, it's good when it's an individual awarding and recognition instead of the team. That comes from the high masculinity and high individualism from Hofstede. It's also a guild culture coming from the individualism from Hofstede. You can say that when something goes wrong, they will always search for the guilty person. There's always a guilty person and they have to assume this guilt. Then you should give feedback so they can be better. They want to excel. So the low power distance and also high masculinity would lead you to give them feedback. And finally, the communication within teams. The teams are independent and they manage their own time. They don't need constant direction. That's the high individualism aspect. And the directions are given in a direct way. You can be direct in your words and you don't have to go, in different ways. You can be straightforward with your words. And that's the neutral from Trompenaars. And then finally, we will see how they host foreign business partners. When they host foreign business partners, you don't have to expect that they pick you up from the airport. You'll probably have a business lunch or meeting at the office, and that's come from their high independence. And also, as I talked before, they don't the close relationships. They don't put that much importance, maybe. And also you can give them a small gifts as they being your hosts, but the gifts should always be something small, not very expensive, because otherwise it will seem like you're bribing or flattering, and that comes from the long-term orientation or universalism from Trompenaars. There are many rules. They follow moral rules, and this is one of them. That's all. Thank you for listening, and hope it was very interesting for you. Thank you.